Morena, everybody, to this meeting of the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board for Thursday, the 14th of December, our final meeting for the year. I will just ask Member Amy Slack to open us with a karakia.
Whakataka te hau ki te uru, whakataka te hau te taonga. Kia mā kina ki uta, kia mā taratara ki tai. Ihi ake ana te atakura. He tio, he huka, he hau hunga, homie, huie, tapai.
Yeah. Yeah, Amy. Moving on, I have item 2, I have apologies from Councillor Anne Court, who's at an LTP workshop, and Member Roddy Habatihima, who is dealing with family members issues today. Any conflicts of interest in today's agenda? No? And I'll put those apologies. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Lane. All those in support? Carried. Right, we have no public forum here today. First speaker, we have Tori come forward. Tori Crabb, who's speaking on the VertJam application, page 44 of your agenda. Welcome.
Victoria. Yeah, thank you, because last year you helped, the community board helped us put on our VertJam. This year we were hoping that we would be able to do it totally by ourselves. So you've got the scaffold sponsored, but we were hoping to put it on in February again. And last year we had people from all over New Zealand and some skaters from Australia, etc. come. And it was great to see this really people to help. Do you have any questions about last year's event or anything?
So, changes from last year to this year, anything different?
We've got the scaffold sponsored, so we'll be doing the sort of a similar thing.
Sorry. You know, my screens, you have a camera there, so you just might not want your back to it.
Sorry, yeah. So still planning on doing the skate lessons, for community skate lessons. So just getting confirmation whether we're also going to be able to have a skate lesson concentrating on female skaters as well. We still have skaters lined up from all over New Zealand. We've got, like last year, quite a lot was the scaffold cost because of the bleachers. This year, Kaitaia Hara has come on board. Our aim is for next year to be just able to do it. So just finding that and like the cost of the judges to come up in the PA costs. Like we've got really good local sponsorship. And this year we've got help with someone being able who's better with Facebook, etc., to be able to promote it to the community knowledge.
My observation was that it disseminated the dance at times around the community, I think.
Yeah, and also I think last year we described it in skate terms about like a pool jam, and everyone was quite confused about this. So just to really let people know that it's using the skateboard bowl on one night and just trying to do it after school and also at the tail end of the manga competition, because there's been lots of families come up and stay and walk.
Madam Chair.
Tyler.
My just question that you're still expecting similar type of numbers and to be able to provide the free list, I think was the similar amount of kids.
Yeah, hopefully actually more kids, more kids with the lessons, and similar numbers for skaters because the Mangawhai event is on. That's why we've left it. Like it's a tail end. We've definitely already got people who've booked flights to come up and things. So there's also just for that advertising to get local people coming and watching. It definitely picks up how many people start using the skate park again, which is really neat. So
And then just secondly, I see you've got a poster already made. If you're successful, is it possible to sneak out?
Oh, totally, yeah, so that was just the grant, that would be on the t-shirts and everything, and if it is successful, the logo would definitely be going to.
Excellent. Jane?
You've answered most of my questions in terms of do you think you can get it self-supporting next year?
Yeah.
Do you charge a fee to any of the skaters coming?
No.
Okay, so it's free to participate
Free to
for skaters?
Yeah.
And the workshops will be the same,
Free.
if not more than last
Yeah.
year? Okay, and one final question. Assuming you're successful, even if you're not successful, could you provide the details of the workshops to us? Because I run the Facebook page for the community board and we can give it a big push. It was one of the most...
That would be definitely, because actually
Yeah.
just also like a learning curve from last year to almost be able to have that pre-registered,
Yeah.
so we know when people.
Yeah, well, you were very late last year because we had a special meeting in January, so good on you for being early. The community board page, we all share, all of our members share across the district, so it's a good promotion, so give us the...
Thanks, Jane. Amy, any questions? No, looks like you're done, Charlie. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Or babysitter.
We can take Beryl next while you catch your breath, Jamie.
Yeah, okay.
Selena.
Welcome. I'm Phil Webber from Okaiha College. Okaiha College is doing the Kapahaka Festival. We're going to be hosting in April of next year, the 10th and the 11th of April. And we need to have a successful festival. We know that running the festival is going to be extremely expensive. We're looking at expenses, basic expenses to start it of $100,000. We have been to Te Haku 2 days ago and yesterday to Kaikohe and have been successful with some funding from them, which we greatly appreciate. But to make our festival happen, we need a lot more. We are looking at a minimum of 27 kura schools to be on site for the 2 days. We are running 2 stages side by side at school. One of those is in a very large marquee, which is $26,000 to hire for 2 days. We are aiming and thinking that in the Okaiha village for 2 days will be an extra 8,000 to 10,000 people visiting. So we really need to get this right, and you know, we've got a lot of support from the community. The last time we hosted it was in 2008, but things and costs have risen. We know that a lot of funding providers do not provide funds if it is NCA accredited. But I can assure you that Okaiha College at this point, Kapahaka is not a curriculum subject. And whilst some students will be moderated, we can't tell you what their curriculums are at their kura. But Okaiha College is not curriculum Kapahaka. Our students do it in their own time. They pay to do it in the weekends, come onto our marae. And so that's what we're aiming for in April of next year. The expenses are huge, you know, sound, light and PA system, $42,000 for 2 days and a stage. And our 100,000 expense is purely just the basics to get us going and to make it a success. So anything that Kerry could assist us with today would be greatly appreciated. And even though we have received funding from the other 2 boards, we would no doubt be able to provide you with receipts and documentation for anything that we would be spending out of your funds. Yeah, so thank you, Kia ora.
Thanks for that. Just clarification, you received funding in full from Te Haku, but only 4,000
Yes.
from Haku?
Yesterday, Kaikohe yesterday. And a couple of weeks ago, we went to the Creative Communities grant as well, and
yes.
they've given us $10,000, which is a huge, huge help. But in the pool of things, we're still in the red.
And this will go ahead regardless?
It will go ahead regardless. And the thing about that is, if we don't get our funding, Each kura that comes on site pays a fee of $250 as a registration fee. So that income is only $6,750. So anything out of that we have to provide is going to come out of the Okaihau College 2024 school budget, which means that student learning resources for next year very likely will decrease in what we'll be able to provide for our students when we've got bottoms on seats for 2024, because our funding, some of our funding will have to go towards that festival.
Thank you. Questions, Jane?
Is this an annual festival or?
It is an annual festival for kura, but we haven't hosted it since 2008. So it's from Maharangi North, and so it's like a big circle that goes around all the different schools.
In Tatakura.
Yeah.
So every school every year, one school every year will have this
Yes.
gift of
Yes.
finding out that.
Yeah, and every second year it's a competition. For us, it's not. It's just a festival. Not just a festival, but it's a festival. But then in 2025, it will be a competition.
And it's for secondary.
Yes.
And cool.
So, we just don't have the detail on all of the costs here in the budget. So, the marquee, did you say?
Yes.
Where is that coming from?
It's coming from Whangaroa. We've had great difficulty trying to find a marquee. So
How large is it? So,
26 metres. Yeah. So we've got a marquee, we've got security, which is 11,500.
yes.
We've got carpet tiles to hire for 2 days, it's 5,000.
Field. Is it?
That's in the gymnasium. We're having two venues. One is the gymnasium, which we're putting carpet tiles and a stage in, and the other is a marquee up on our big tennis court. And the reason we've put it in the tennis court is ideally it should be on the field, but our quote for security for 9 days was $45,000. So if we put it in the tennis court, we can actually lock it, and so we only have to have security when the portaloos, the rubbish bins, the marquee, and everything come on site a couple of days prior. Yeah. So, you know, we've got walkie-talkies, we've got chairs, we've got portaloos, we've got shirts for our volunteers to wear, hot pink shirts, so there'll be someone to be able to guide you. We've got to provide kai. So, you know, we've budgeted 15,000 for kai at this point. So yesterday's 4,000, I've put straight, that's exactly going to go to that. That's the unknown as well, because we don't know at this point how many people will come to the pulpit on the first morning, and so that could potentially be a lot of food to produce and get out and do packed lunches for each kura or each school that comes to the pulpit for each student. It's major. But for Okaihau, it's amazing because we've already put our applications out and our requests of interest for stalls and prepared to sell their wares. And in the next week, so it's going out to all the communities. So we're hoping to encourage a whole lot of people to come on site and sell and be able to support them as well in our community.
Oh, sorry, just one last question.
Yeah.
Who is the overall organizer of this?
TROT, so it's part of the Taitaiparau Secondary Schools Principals Association. So they apply to, apparently they're going to apply to IA for some funding, and they say that they get it every year. So we've got our fingers crossed that we might get that, and that we would be able to put that towards our sound system and staging. But if we, and so that's included in our 100, but if we don't, we have to find it. Or if they don't, we have to find it.
I have a question.
Just a quick, sorry, is there any opportunity for you to earn revenue? Does the stalls, can you earn revenue from the stalls?
We're going to take a registration fee when they, we don't want to take a percentage of their takings. For some of our community, that's going to be their big income for those few months or that term or that even that year. So if we can support them, like the primary schools already put their name down, some of the sports teams at our school are going to do that. It's going to take one of our teams to Wapatani next August for the hockey tournament. So we want to support those as well. Yeah.
Charges to the kura, they're set, they're the same every year.
Yes, and they're not set by us, they're set by TROT, by the Taitaiparau Secondary Schools Principal. We just get told what we have to charge them. That's just a blanket. So for every school that comes, that registers, they pay for $250, or they can perform on stage. I mean, we've got a couple of schools that have already registered. They're bringing 75 students each to perform on stage. You know, that's massive.
Massive.
Plus, you have 75 students, and if each could have brought 10 or 15 supporters. And the other thing is, you know, all the marae, local marae, are going to be supported for accommodation. So the income in the community is going to help out.
Oh. I have a question just in relation to, so 5 of the kura are within our ward area,
Yes.
Islands-Whangaroa. How many are outside our actual district,
We're thinking we're going to get about 27, and this is what the number we're looking at.
outside of the district?
From Maharangi to north, including the 5, so 22 others and 5 in this district. And that's going on last year's registrations from the previous school that hosted it.
You do have a little bit of lead-in time from now to April. Have you contemplated actually applying to community boards or other councils within the region?
No, we haven't as yet. We've applied to Foundation North. They apparently have helped with Tini, but they won't tell us till January, February. I applied to Oxford back in October. They rejected it straight away and said it's too far out from the event centre to us February, March. But for us, like February, March, you know, what do we do if it's a big no?
Yes.
So absolutely great idea, and we will certainly look at doing that.
These things sort of community level, and you just might find these community boards outside the district that are willing to support their local schools for
Oh, thanks.
even if it's transport or
Anything. Yeah.
Any other questions?
In the Tautoko Trust, how many schools are there in the Principals Association?
I think I think there could be about 30 for the secondary schools, but that's just going on the numbers that we've got for the festival. And if each principal belonged to it, then that would be about 30. But maybe don't quote me on that.
No.
7 to 30.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to present to us, and we'll make that decision a little bit later in the meeting, and Catherine will notify you, and all the best with your hosting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right, next up we have Jamie and Claire to speak on the Kit in New Zealand and flash Gordon photography on page 53. The additional information is on page 24 in your other agendas. Additional part of the agenda. Karina. Hello to you, 2 familiar faces.
It's nice to be here. It's been a while. So my name is Jamie Pavlichevich, for those that I don't know around the table. Billy Gordon. And I'm from an organisation called Kitten, and I advocate and deliver equal opportunities for women and girls in the sport sector. Claire here, she is a local fabulous photographer that has done a lot of photography for a lot of community groups. So we've teamed up and we're here today to stand in front of the community board to ask for some funding for a very important project, which is actually, I don't know if you've seen anything like this come across your table before, but it's fairly unique. It's unique for, it's a unique concept for New Zealand. Some of this sort of make space for girls type of projects are coming out of places like the UK. They're founded on research that has been done around how older girls especially have been designed out of public recreational spaces. So just a little bit when girls are sort of around the age of 10, their activity levels drop significantly. And this is backed up by our own national research by Sport New Zealand, where only 35% of these girls are meeting their daily activity guidelines. And that's from the age of 10 on. By the time they reach the age of 16, that pattern is generally set into adulthood. So, we've got a really finite window to be encouraging our older girls, 10 plus, to be active. And, that might not be sport. Sport might not float all girls' boats. So, we look at other places like parks and places like our domain here. And so, when I read some recent research that came out of the UK that aligned with my thinking, when I was down at the domain and I was looking and seeing who was using the space, this research says that the majority of teenagers using spaces like the domain are boys. So I was thinking to myself, well, what can be done to help this situation, to make this better, to make better play spaces for girls 10 upwards? Because, if from 10 years upwards they're not playing in spaces like that, we're effectively cutting off their childhood as well. And then what are they doing now on their phones? So if we can encourage as much play as possible, that is, socially awesome for this community. I had done, after I thought about this, I'd also put together a workshop which Claire attended, and it was a make space for gymnasts and dancers. And this is a design workshop looking at how they could have better spaces based on their needs and their own voices. I've taken some of that into this project because one of the wonderful things that I observed during the workshop when the girls had their own free play, it was unstructured. This was held in the gymnastics club here in Kirikiri. They gravitated towards the beam. I could not get them, dancers and gymnasts, I couldn't get them off the beam. And they were just, the pleasure and the enjoyment, and they were on this for an hour. All of them just, mucking around. And I thought, actually, can't we take the beam concept and put it into the domain? And that's where this idea was sort of founded from. And the more that I've looked into it and the more that I've researched, the more it actually makes sense to me. And it's a really cool, one of the cool things about it is it's taking a gendered piece of equipment. So it is in gymnastics, it is a gendered piece of equipment, and putting it in the domain, encouraging artistic movement that's actually gender neutral. Anyone will be able to use it. It's not specifically for girls to use. That's a really important part of this concept that I want to get across, is that it is for everyone, but it's actually recognising that girls are underrepresented in places, in recreational spaces. So it's drawing them in to be able to use more equipment or that space in the domain that they're not actually utilising at the moment. The other part of it is a placemaking exhibition. So taking photographs of strong women and girls across all sports and exhibiting this at the Proctor Library. So the idea is we would have the exhibition and people will be able to view the exhibition at the Proctor Library and then walk out, and then the new play equipment designed for older girls but for everyone would be unveiled. So this is the idea that both Claire and I have come up with, and it's unique to New Zealand. It's some of the sort of anticipated outcomes is social value. This is creating huge social value and engaging with an underrepresented group to invest in more inclusive and creative spaces. It's developing a healthier place and an active environment. And it's not just physically, this is another important aspect. The design of urban spaces impact mental health as well. And it's also actively addressing a gender imbalance because in New Zealand, only 15% of the built environment workforce are women. So, if you think if just by looking at that statistic, there has been over the years a male-dominated nature of how sports and rec has been planned and delivered in our built environment, because 85% are men doing this. And one of the cool things about this project as well is that we're two women and we're representing women and girls, and we are wanting to contribute and change the built environment.
Also from the photography perspective, it's for those young girls, age 10 and upwards, they're very, very aware of their body. It's representing them in a way, no matter what their body shape is, that they can feel proud of who they are. They can see their strength, they can see their friendship, and they don't feel shy about going out publicly, playing those sports in a public space, because they're represented as strong young women who are really enjoying and embracing their sport. So we're really, really keen to, in photographs, to actually in the exhibition, to enable them and make them feel proud of themselves. And this is part of, I spent 12 years as a mental health worker with photograph. I understand these kids and how important it is for them to have a positive view of their body from this age 10 upwards, and it will serve them so well for the rest of their lives. If they can just be proud of who they are, no matter what their shape is, proud of what they're achieving.
Absolutely, thank you, Claire. That's a really important point. It's about them claiming space. They're using their physicality, those images. That's what those images are trying to portray. And, that both the library and the domain, and that area of town gets a hell of a lot of footfall. So this is a cultural shift as well in people's minds and in the community around artistic movement and artistic sport, and valuing spaces for girls and boys. And by doing that, it's actually including everyone. Oh, I missed that.
Thanks, Janie. And I'm going to stop you there because you actually are out of time, but I will afford the privilege of a few questions, because I think there may be a few questions amongst board members. You're the last speaker for this morning.
Sure.
So any questions for them before? Jane.
Is this a short-term project or a long-term project? I'm a bit confused as to the elements. So you're talking about a short-term exhibition and a long-term bench in the domain. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so short-term exhibition, and yeah, it's actually that. And the enduring bit is the theme and social seating. I forgot to mention that bit.
So the second
seating has pictures.
Yeah.
Change.
Yes.
Yeah. So of the 17 grand of putting the pictures up,
Yeah.
how much is it for the exhibition and how much of it is for the bench?
Okay, so you got the pricing for the exhibition part. That can be shrunk down. We went quite high with that. So that was
Which bit is that 17 grand is for the bench, and which bit is for your exhibition?
So the exhibition was 9,000. And that's just for the bench. But for the 9,000, we went up to the top end. Even was.
Yeah. And the third, it's for the bench and the beam, and there's a bar that wraps around as well. So when people stop, they can stretch the bar.
And my second question, Madam Chair, at this time is, if you don't get the funding from the other organisations, what are your plans?
Oh, I've got another couple of organisations lined up to get funding. And that's a really important point around who's sort of backing this. We've got a number of organisations around Kirikiri. Ngāwhiri here. I'm setting up some time to meet with them in the new year. So we're looking at some ideas around how we source that piece of wood, or the considering, the specialists of some of the Indigenous wood around kiri kiri, we're looking at you know, sort of how that would be sourced, you know, what kind of cultural artifacts it would look like with Ngāti Rehi's influence. Yes. Yeah, and you know, our kiri kiri community trust behind it as well. Lane. Yes.
You're aware that this board doesn't directly control the kind.
Yes.
So, you.
As yet.
Yes.
Why can't we
Working on it. Let's working on it.
I've been working on it a while, I don't get it. So I just probably raised a bit of caution that until you have absolute commitment that you can put this, you and I have spoken, and certainly I support what I think. Until you have commitment that this can be done on paper.
Yeah.
The exhibition is certainly no problem. This comes and goes, whatever else. But when we're talking something with permanence,
Yeah.
There's another series of discussions need to be taken.
Absolutely.
I mean, it could be that the project is starts off with the exhibition and then moves on to the domain. So at least it's July. Yes.
Thank you, Lane. That had been on my mind, and I was kind of thinking to myself, well, look, maybe that might, you know, kick things into gear. It might imply having a little bit of, you know, funding there to get going would motivate some movement.
I've obviously spoken to any of this particular topic at length. When you deal with items such as a balance beam, if you put it high, people walk into it. If you put it low, they trip over it. There's a whole series of health and safety issues that we need to look at.
We can have those discussions, we can have those deliberations a bit later, but any further questions for you? Do you have anything?
I do have, so how come you need two speed signs above there for the ACU panel exhibition?
Is that someone you do?
Yes, it's just, dealt with previously, yeah. We're open to getting other articles, I'd love it to call local. Please see it, hopefully. Get one quick there, work with, yeah, it's just a quote.
Yeah, that's good, and then,
I just have one question for you ladies before you depart, and that is, your application was actually for just over 19,500, and the recommendation in our agenda in front of us today is $3,000. Should you be granted that amount or anything today, what would you spend the $3,000 on?
A good question.
I'm just might be speaking out of turn here, but as we still need to get that concrete permission for the bar, it might just be that we can start with the exhibition.
Yeah, that's where my mind went to. That's where my mind went to. I don't want the beam to feel like it's a hazard at all, because it won't be too high that people can fall off and hurt themselves, and it won't be too low that people could trip up. And we have a height that we had determined would be appropriate.
For any money, should you receive any money,
it would be
towards commencing the exhibition.
Yeah, I think it's a good starting point to get the project out there and to build from. It's the building bricks, really, isn't it? It's for people to become aware of the project and to help the youngsters with their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Claire, and thank you, Jamie, for presenting to us.
Thank you for giving us extra time.
Well, just to get our head around it, because it was lacking some information clearly for us, but we'll have a discussion about it later.
Do you have an idea of where on the domain you put it?
Yeah, where the old playground used to be. it would be a good space, a good area. It's still it would curve because obviously it curves around from the skate park to playground. Yeah.
Lovely.
But yeah, we'll see. Thank you for listening to us today, as always.
You're welcome. And thank you for the extra time to answer some of those questions because
Yeah.
it just makes sense in our decision-making processes. Go and enjoy your day. And you'll hear from Catherine a bit later on.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Cheery. Right, moving on to item 6, confirmation of the previous minutes. I do have an amendment here from Fleur. So I'll put the recommendation that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of November 2023 with the following amendment in relation to item 6.1 of those minutes, was it? The speaker, sorry. That it be amended that the speakers and the names representing Kitty Kitty Sports Complex, which should be recorded as Sophia Beaton and Taffy Tour. So with those amendments, do I have a second?
And Ange Barker.
Sorry, Amy.
Is it Ange Barker?
Oh, okay. That was second. Do I have a second? Thank you, Lane. All those in support of that amendment? Carried. Moving on to item 7 on page 19, 7.1. The Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the reports of the Chairperson Belinda Ward and members Jane Hindle and Bruce Wells. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Amy. Seconded, Jane. I'll take mine as read, and I'm pleased to update you on the first RES and compliment Council and the police for the manner in which they have dealt with clearing of our reserve, the occupiers in Waitangi that can come off, that has been resolved. The second RES, thanks Kim, he's got back to me on that one. And it turns out that that walking track entrance area where the signage has been requested is actually a Department of Conservation issue. So that has been referred to DOC.
Yes, and I will be following with him next week.
Yep, so we'll leave that on there until such time as that RES is resolved. Any questions? I shall move on to Bruce. Any questions for Bruce's report? We'll take that as read then.
You enjoyed the hot potato band?
Hey?
You enjoyed the hot potato band?
Yes, I think it's been edited actually. That was a real blast. Somehow or other, someone's taken those wording.
sorry.
My enthusiasm.
That would be me.
Dampened down.
We had a great time.
That sort of thing. Oh, she's sorry.
I can assure you as chair, I did not remove the blast.
No, that would have been me. Apologies. I did not remove it on accident. That was an accident. Apologies.
So please note everybody that Bruce had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, just again, usual updates. This is Walbridge.
Oh, I'm sure Anne will watch the recording.
She's like that.
Yes, you only have one ear.
So I was supposed to be in Berlin this week, but usual delays. And I said now I might be waiting for Bell Straits to arrive from overseas, and they won't start, but they're going to try and bring it down.
Before Christmas.
Yeah, so it's, but they have sort of said it's hopefully going to be a problem.
Is that update, Bruce?
But I suppose everyone's expected to pay ground once it's been sitting in my house for 3 months.
We won't anytime soon.
We'll get Kim to follow up on that one. Moving on.
There's been follow-up.
Oh, there's been-
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Something's first step started. Yeah.
That is a noted, Bruce. Jane, moving on to your report. Any questions for Jane?
The picture is the picture of the outdoor body and walkway, the tree.
That is the tree. I don't see.
Very significant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Significant that the picture shouldn't have been taken, probably.
I snuck in a high Elizabeth.
Get in today. I think there might be some more substantial barriers being erected yesterday or today.
In case anybody's interested, the tree will be left as is. It won't be moved.
No.
And luckily, Totty Ashby had also visited the site with Tony Williams, and he had given that advice that the wood should not be used for any kind of carving or anything, because these are one of the trees that we use for hanging on the right, being on the coast and the Kahutukara tree. So if you just think that one through, yeah. So no, it's just going to stay as is, which is good because it blocks off the walkway.
Yeah.
The arborist report noted that 25 people.
Jane, I'll just stop you there. We haven't received the arborist report, so I don't think.
You don't want
it
to
should be
correct,
coming
but
to
anyway,
us.
we need to leave that as is.
It will come to the board and do
No,
it.
it won't.
That's an issue.
No.
Well, we can vote.
No.
Okay, so it's the duty of care sits with council.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one RFS off your list, Jane.
Yeah.
I must admit, your list has shrunken considerably over the last few months. I've been training very impressed. Any questions in there for Jane? So we'll go back to recommendation page. Moved by Amy, seconded by Jane. All those in support? Against? Carried. Right, item 7.2, road naming Oak Ridge Village, page 27. At the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board, pursuant to Council's naming policy, named 3 private roads addressed at 37 Cobham Road, Kirikiri, as follows: 1, Metapo Lane, 2, Koromiko Lane, and 3, Mahoe Terrace. Do I have a mover? Bruce? Thank you, Tyler. Seconded. Ms. Mover, did you want to excuse, please?
Knowledge in the fact that, so the lesser known, the trees, that's up the window, you just thought this way. But we think that
And I did request whether the map plans would be included in the road mailing, and the report writer has come back to me, or do I make the call votes to say that yes, it would be, as it's always a concern of mine if we're going to use some other words and nouns that we actually get them correct, particularly if they're going to go on signage. So they will have the map, those 2 roads, Lane and Terrace will have the map plans on them. Right, no further discussion. That's moved, Bruce, seconded, Tyler. I'll put that. All those in support? Yes. Carried. Moving on to item 7.3 on page 33. At the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board, pursuant to Council's naming policy, name the private right-of-way addressed at 373 Kirikiri Road, Kirikiri, Hua Rākau Way. Do I have a mover? Jane and Amy, thank you. Any discussion around this one? Has been the board in relation to the reserve. They should be familiar with that picture on page 30. Any comment, Jane or Amy, as movers?
Madam Chair, I can't quite see where Huaraka Lane is, but I presume it's the tail end of. I don't really know
On the
which.
map on page 36 on the printed agenda.
You can see Huaraka, you see the Uru Lane, but I can't see Uru Lane, but I can't see the Huaraka.
I need my magnifying glass.
I just can't see it. Oh, that's the private.
Yeah.
It's that one. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it? Is it the red one?
Yeah, it's the orange one, yeah.
Cool. Any further discussion? Moved Jones, seconded Amy. I'll put that to the vote. All those in support, against, that's carried. Yeah. Item 7.4, project funding reports on page 37. That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board note the project report received from Coast 2023. Do I have a mover? Rose, seconded Lane. Thank you. Any discussion around project report? All those in support? Against, that's carried. Thank you. Item 7.5, our funding applications, page 41. I will take these individually in the order that they are in the paper. So the first one, recommendations A, that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approve the sum of $3,000 plus GST if applicable be paid from the board's community fund account to the David Craig, to David Craig for the costs Jan 2024 to meet the following community outcomes. Communities that are healthy, safe, connected and sustainable and proud, vibrant communities. Do I have a mover? Thank you, Tyler. And seconded, Lane. This was for 3,447 on page 42 and the recommendation is for $3,000.
I'd like to foreshadow that we fund the entire amount based on it being an event that's working for self-funded, that provides excellent opportunities for kids, girls and boys. It's a free, entirely free event, and I just think for the sake of $447 to just cover their costs, I think it's something I'd support.
Lane has seconded. Do you support the amendment? Okay. I will make that a motion. Discussion around the amendment?
I was going to say the same thing.
So, hey, full amount 3,447. Is that correct, Carla?
Correct.
No further discussion. I'll put that to the vote. All those in support of an amendment amount of 3,447. Raise your hand. Against? Carried unanimously. Do you need that as a substantive motion? The mover and seconder were happy to agree about change the amount, so we don't need to. Right.
Yes.
Yes, very successful growth event for the area. And definitely showcasing our kitty domain. Right, the second recommendation that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approve the sum of $3,000 plus GST if applicable be paid from the board's community fund account to the Kitted NZ and Flash Gordon Photography. Will cost towards kitted spaces for girls and young women project. Do I have a mover? Lane? Moved Lane, seconded Tyler to get this on the table for discussion. Lane, as mover, would you like to?
Madam Chairman, it's a committee. I have dealt with this issue in its concept form and totally support it. I'm not necessarily comfortable with this application because I think it's trying to do a number of different things in the same place. I'm quite happy with the display. I think that's a good idea. But the installation of structures on the domain needs a lot more thought, in my opinion. Sort of a bit down the road, but I don't think you'll get far enough down that road to start funding. But I'm quite happy to fund something for the display.
Thank you. Tyler, a seconder?
Yeah, I sort of just kind of agree with what Lane said. I actually think this is probably two separate projects, despite how they're looking at it. And I think it's too early. Even the exhibition, I kind of have concerns around if they've approached the library to use their space, and I just think there may be a little bit more work that needs to be done to, I guess, make sure that we're comfortable knowing that the money that we would potentially get them is going to be, well utilised.
And for sure, until it's not on the table until such time as the bigger picture is to the community domain management group in the future. Management of the domain.
Yeah,
It's still finishing it. Yeah.
that's it. And that seems my issue as well is that they said that money would be spent on the exhibition, but I think that almost needs to come in the form of a separate application as well. And I don't think that this really wants it, so I suppose I think we're going to lie on the table and sort of maybe separate application. Yeah.
Thanks. Yes. Jane.
Madam Chair, I don't support the application as it comes. I think issues with, I think I like the idea of prevention in the domain, but it's too early for that yet, for the reasons Elaine outlined. I have concerns with the research which comes from the UK. I would like to see harder evidence from this country. I have issues with the exhibition and the cost. I mean, it's a huge amount of money. I don't see why we would pay that amount of money for an exhibition. There's no supporting evidence that gives me confidence that there's anything driving this exhibition other than the kind of idea. It's a lot of money, and even though we're only proposing £3,000, I still don't know that that's money well spent.
The shadowing to decline the application at this stage. Any other? Amy?
Yeah, I kind of agree that it's two kind of separate applications, and I really think it's a great idea, but we need to be getting that permission first and health and safety. Yeah.
Any further discussion, Bruce?
Keep showing your need. Yeah, I'm listening. I'll be saying, it's coming up here to me. This is yeah, I just think 2 months. Seems to be a lot of money for this expression. But I think the young girls need support. Yeah, I like
It's a great concept.
Yeah.
But about early days, perhaps.
Yeah.
All thoughts through how it could be done. Is there any evidence that the exhibition is actually going to do the trick?
100% I think they consider the need for a space of this nature in the domain. And how we might go about maybe supporting that around a different avenue, potentially, fire out in the or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so, I don't know that this is the best way to do that.
I think you touched on the structure of the domain and the management, but not quite there yet. It is, the domain has been leading that working title group, as you all know, and it's yet to be formalised as to whether or not this will sit at community board level or whether it will be a district-wide asset and how that management structure will be formed. So probably a little bit hard to forecast at this stage. But
so you can't
yeah, well, I mean, I think we're all in agreement that this is a great concept.
Yeah.
It's been brought to us, by two local women we're aware of in the community who do a lot of good work with the youth. And I feel that there's merit there. They are asking for 19,500 and to offer 3 when we're unsure as to hence my question, what would the money be spent on at this point? I think we could, the Kirikiri community needs to work with them moving forward once these structures are put in. So, Jane, you want to move to decline at this stage on those grounds that we?
Yes, I think
rather than let it lie on the table.
Yeah, I just don't see that $3,000 will necessarily give them what they're looking for
at this stage.
And I just think that would be, I think it would be better if they thought through, came with a more considered funding application that we could support. I'm pleased to see the Virgin's got the girls section, so that's kind of good to see. Yeah, the kaupapa is good. It's just not convinced this application is going to succeed
No.
in its present form.
Okay, do we have a seconder for that? Amy, thank you. Any further discussion around?
Sorry, I'm just recapping. So that was basically to let it lie.
Yeah,
At this stage.
Sorry, Jane has moved, no, Jane has moved that the application be declined at this stage until,
And Amy seconded. Thank you.
Consider.
Invite them for a
it's really, yeah, we need to get the wording right. It's really a timing thing. We support.
new application at such time as they have,
Philosophy of the
as the domain component is established
Yeah.
and a bit more thought has gone through into the exhibition components because they were changing costs on the fly.
It actually goes back further than that to the point that they have actually identified an area or a site on the domain, but that would have to go to the working party group who at this stage you've got to determine the management group. It's a little bit early.
Yes. Well, I think what we said is we invite them to come back and, at such time when they have a approved
Site.
site from the domain management group.
Okay, so
There's a saying,
Sorry.
other component, the moment you start allocating public space to a particular activity, I think you have to be very vigilant. At least that's my thing. Because it is for a long period of time. It's not like you're going to use that space for tomorrow. We're talking about taking that community space and giving it to a particular group. And while I absolutely support the concept, it needs an awful thing. But Madam Chairman,
I would argue that the skate park is a lot bigger danger and area for a particular, like it's just, they're just asking for one.
but there was community engagement about should we use public facilities for that and for the basketball, for the playground. So
Maybe a bit more
there was a whole process that went through to get the community.
So with the amendments,
Yes, I'm just thinking
until such time that they have established whether the domain can accommodate such a facility.
No, I think
that.
really, if we simplify it, like,
Madam Chair, there's a motion on the floor. All you have to do is put that to the vote.
yes, it's the reasoning behind declining. We know we support it, but I think that are you happy if we refer it to you in the first instance of the process? Thank you. Okay. So the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board decline the application.
Chair.
And
I just put some word into Ally that
Yes,
basically the board supports the kaupapa that feels it requires further development and community engagement and recommends the applicant work with, I put FND staff, but there could be appropriate routes to further the project.
probably, yeah, you not the words of conflict,
She's well aware of who it is.
Okay,
I've had to.
happy with that. Thank you, Catherine.
So instead of FND staff, just say appropriate routes to further the project, and that way it brings everyone.
get that to be.
Just to try and make some life to wording to Ally. You'll read it to you.
Yeah, she's just flicked it to me.
Okay, thanks.
Talk about our son.
So
Just a
give me 1 second and I'll make it
Huge
look pretty.
public consultation. And this sounds fabulous, but again, it has to go through that process. So the recommendation, the amendment moved by Jane, seconded by Amy, that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board supports the kaupapa but feels that it requires further development and community engagement and recommends the applicant work with FNDC staff to further the project.
Appropriate.
My concern is if we do not name that appropriate group.
The Domain
Who's the
Working Party
appropriate
group it is at this stage, isn't it? The Domain Working Council sit on there.
Yeah, Domain Working Party Group.
Yeah, Domain.
Yeah.
With the Domain Working Party group, which does include.
Yeah, because otherwise the
And
appropriate group
community
would be the appropriate
stakeholders.
club
Yeah,
or the.
and
I mean, the list is, the list is long.
To further the project. I think the Domain Working Party group to further the project in the first instance. Would you like me to reread that? That the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board supports the kaupapa, but feels that it requires further development and community engagement and recommends the applicant work with the Domain Working Party group to further the project. Moved Jane, seconded Amy. This is to decline. All those in support? Against? It's carried.
Belinda, through you, the chair. So the amendment now becomes the substantive motion.
Yep. So put the substantive motion.
Yeah, I'll be doing that in just 1 second.
Let's wait on it. Recommendation to decline now becomes a substantive motion. Do I have a mover for that? Jane? Amy, second. The amendment as put now becomes a substantive motion. All those in support? Against? And that is carried. Right. Moving on to, all right, Fleur?
Yeah.
Item C, that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board approved a sum of $5,000 plus GST if applicable be paid from the board's community fund account to Okoho College for the cost towards Tautokara Festival 2024. Do I have a mover? Bruce? Seconder? Amy? They did request 6,647. The recommendation you have in front of you is for $5,000, and they received 6,647, the full amount from Te Hiku. And on Tuesday and yesterday, they received $4,000 from the community board.
And through the boards, they would have got 647 through Kaikoui looking at, but Kaikoui looking at just doesn't have the money. They'd be really happy to get the funding increases sincerely.
I'd like to find out, sorry, we're looking at.
Bruce?
I've been involved with this a minute ago. Actually, amazing. Behaviour ritual just important. That's, yeah, you are away.
Amy, you were seconder. Do you support Bruce's amendment to move the full amount?
Yeah, I think so. It's like in our area and it's going to bring a lot of people into the area, like you say, and the schools have to fund it otherwise through there.
Madam Chair, is it Kaihau our area?
No, it's Kaikoui Hokianga.
I mean, like
The final.
In the district, yeah.
district, yeah.
But we have schools, we have, I think, 5 attending in our area from our ward.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually terrific, Madam Chair, that it's in a community outside of the larger community.
Mm.
For Kaihau, not for by far, very similar. I think it's great.
Yes, I hear those sentiments, although infrastructurally it's extremely costly for them to accommodate large numbers of people from the east. Hence what always happen there over the years.
But it also raises those concerns over the costs of it against like the marginal.
Yes, again, Madam Chair, is it possible for us to request an investigation into the cost of sound equipment, marquee and PA and equipment, and think through options by which we may fund the purchase? I mean, it may be well outside of our scope, but a business case, something like the Turner Centre, perhaps house it. Because-
So Jane, those
No,
notes will come, they will be in their quotes and they will come in their project report.
I think Jane thinks differently on this.
Because this is an ongoing, I'm just saying, as an action for our action suite to try and figure out a solution for the long term.
Then we
have to see
hire.
Yeah, could we partner with somebody and give them some funding to assist them to purchase this equipment and rent it out? But
We have this discussion regularly, have done for many,
I know.
many years, and Kim, you may want to comment.
So through the chair, marquee's easy, but the sound stage itself is scaffolding, it's a cover, it's staging, it's tiles, it's a whole warehouse alone just to store it. So it's the sound stage itself is really the issue.
And staff to put it together.
Yeah, and the staff to put it together. In terms of a marquee, look, council's got several marquees, but they're the little pop-up marquees. They're not big marquees. And again, yeah.
That's the cost of maintaining markings.
Yeah.
But that's something, finding a third party that we can support. I'm not suggesting we go and do it ourselves.
Right, so
Actively
they,
look for a third
they
party.
have actually requested, the application is for, toward hire, equipment hire, 4,183 and 2,464 towards the shirts for staff and students. That's what they have. If we want to tag it towards something else, there is additional things on the expenses here. They went to Kaikohe for scissor lift, hire, rubbish bin, to Waterloo, walkie-talkie. That came to 4,183. I assume that's the thing that they funded yesterday.
When she said she paid that for the fire, I'm like, that's a conversation we have.
The problem with these events is that they are suddenly thrust upon people that have no experience or history of running events. That's not criticism, it's just that they're education people. And one of the recommendations that I'd like to make is that they need to create more of an activity that lists all the things they did and gets passed on to the next. Because I've watched this over a period of time.
That's how they've got a lot of those figures.
Because we watch it and that process needs to be done.
Numbers on this one, so that she has been working very closely with previous hosts. And that's where they've got the numbers from and worked out where they can come back.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of succession program there between the schools so they all know what to expect.
Because I feel
Yeah.
Maybe instead of us looking to fund a marquee fire, potentially we could maybe look at creating like a list of preferred suppliers or you know, like local suppliers who supply these things at a rate that we know. Because I know it's a large marquee, but you know, I've got to think that maybe, you know, you're approaching 2 or 3 people max, and then you're just accepting the quote that you can get. Whereas like there might be other ways of getting a cat in the sense, and maybe we could actually pass on to event planners like suppliers that we've come across or know of, or that might make some savings. Like maybe we can come in terms of savings as much as we can in terms of funding, right? Like if we're able to make $5,000 in saving, that's just as equally as.
It would be great to have a schedule.
Yeah.
This is not a new discussion.
No.
It just doesn't happen, you know.
But I think we need to think outside the box.
Well, I mean, it's everything, isn't it? It's right down to if somebody needs 200 chairs in a hurry.
Yeah.
Knowing which halls in our district have those and are not in use on that day and the committees are willing to share their assets. And I think we really do need to get into more community sharing of, like you say, to assist in cost saving. And I mean, we may just decide to tag to feed the children and look at it from a real, you know, kids community event, or the young adults, aren't they? A lot of them, I think.
I guess my comment was, could we look at doing something that's more sustainable? And I love the idea of maybe a sharing database or you know, who's got marquees that might be available, even a list on the website. I mean, we've got to be able to do something rather than having this conversation every month
Okay, so moving on, we can note,
Yes.
we can note that for combined community board workshop,
Yep.
or we can workshop it ourselves as a board, but great idea, Jane, and it's Tyler says, just saving, cutting costs, localism.
And reusing resources, which is what we want to do as well.
Good databases of what we've got where is definitely required. And this is in April, it's not really high season, it's not even Easter weekend, I don't think.
No,
It's 10.
I know, it's weeks after Easter.
So perhaps there are other things happening around the district, or like we say, maybe they just don't know where to look, or suppliers change and that sort of thing. Okay, so any further discussion? We have Bruce moved the amendment for the full amount of 6647 as requested, and Amy seconded. Any further discussion around that? Want to tag it? We just do.
I think that was just use it.
Presume the same format as the past, but marquee will probably for it's like a practice. They go on that one too is not clear. You should watch that one. Then they go all do the full body, all the students are swimming in the other one. Or unbelievable actually. The energy levels them. Yeah. So that's why the two stages practice and they go straight to the other one.
Okay, no further discussion. I'll put this to the vote. Move $6,647 for the total outputs for 2020. Those in support? Against? Carried. Right. An amended amount, didn't you?
Yes, 6,7, same movement, sorry.
Right. 8.1, moving on to page 68. I will move that the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board receive the Bay of Islands-Whangaroa Community Board November Open Resolution Report. Do I have a second? Thank you, Bruce. Discussion around these?
I was told by Cherry Park House that's going to be out, but they haven't had a
Cherry Park House is the only thing outstanding. If you turn the page, though, there is
I did get an update that someone has been there and noted that there was no fire equipment, which just seemed really strange to me. So I have asked to have an update on that, and I couldn't get it in time for this meeting. Sorry, but I will for February definitely.
That's scary.
That's a major concern. Health and safety wise, council will be needing to look at that pretty pronto.
Yeah, I'll message
No fire extinguishers?
That's all I heard was there was no fire, which just kind of seemed bizarre to me. Exactly. So that's why I've asked, can I have some clarification? Because it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, that's what it needs.
Fire. Previously.
Yeah.
I'll follow up and get as well.
Thank you, Amy. That would be great.
Yeah, follow up on that, Amy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to drive there today after the meeting and have a look. But yeah.
I think part of the confusion may also be who is responsible for what currently at Cherry Park House. So is it council's responsibility to put in the fire equipment, or is it Cherry Park House's committee responsibility? So it'd probably be a good idea for us to arrange a meeting. Would be Michelle, wouldn't it? Rockall, is that who updated you?
And also, what are the minimum requirements, bearing in mind the future of the facility?
Yeah. So until that time, though, we do need to make sure it's got.
Just in regards to the management of a facility of this nature, where does the responsibility lie in terms of if it's not being kept at the standard that's required?
Well, committees oversee under delegation authority from the community board So it's up to Amy to, or you on that one, aren't you? To actually see that the committee are fulfilling and council have the liability and duty of care. But if we're aware under our delegations that this community facility is not safe, then we need to notify council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who do we notify?
But it should have a building warrant of fitness, and council should be checking that. That's not something we do, but if we can, it should be displayed. So you can check it and see whether or not it's up to date. They should have a whole, like our halls, I think, a whole evacuation procedure form, like the door.
They do have those things.
Yeah.
Usually there's a folder too where the guys go in and they update when they do it.
Yes, yeah. So it should be so. Okay. Further discussion on our resolution report?
We can move the one on the walkway that was completed last month. Or
This month, yeah.
You want to remove that, Jane?
That can come off.
well, I think it can come off.
Yes.
Yeah.
The signs are going up as we noticed. Even as we
I never remove them until the job's done, but yeah. They put adequate safety barriers and all sorts of things going up as we speak, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, so that was not shown. Yeah. Okay. We don't need to add anything, so we're getting through that. That's great. So, moved by myself, seconded by Bruce. All those in support. Against, carried. Thank you. And that brings us to the close of our meeting. Shortest, sweetest meeting we've had in quite some years, I would say.
Catering has been ordered at 12, so I don't know if anyone wants to stay.
Okay, so with that we will thank the members of the public and those of you who are listening in with us today and on our live stream. And I will ask Amy, would you like to close us with the karakia since you opened us, please? Thank you. Wish you all a very merry, happy, safe Christmas. Careful on our roads and watch out for that sunshine when it does come out. It's pretty harsh. Have a very merry Christmas.
Kia hora te marino kia whakapapa pounamu te moana. Hei huarahi ma tātou I te rangi nei. Aroha atu aroha mai, tātou ea, tātou katoa.
Good, Amy. Thank you very much for joining us. You can stop the live stream.